Hey, this is Greg Johnson with Blue Book Services. I'm joined today by Wendy Reinhardt Kapsak, who is CEO of the Produce for Better Health Foundation. And PBH has some big news this week. We are hearing about the Lead the Change movement. So Wendy, can you explain a little bit about what that means, both for the produce industry, consumers, and PBH people?
Sure. So Lead the Change is really something that I had in mind from the very beginning, and it's now been through working with our leadership, our members, and all of our other supporters that, in fact, this now is coming to fruition. I think it's a really important time for us to be announcing this. So Lead the Change is really a movement to unite the produce industry and other food system thought leaders to really try to get after and close what we would call the fruit and vegetable consumption intention action gap. And so, we've been hearing about consumption and what we got to do forever, but this is really what I would say the first ever opportunity, at least in PBH's history, to certainly step outside the traditional stakeholders and industry stakeholders and then bring more people inside this movement. And there are so many people out there rooting and cheering for fruits and vegetables. And so really, it's also an opportunity for the produce industry to be a leader in that. And so if we're focused on, making sure that consumers are eating more of our products, what better group to lead this effort in many respects than those that are inherent to the fruit and vegetable industry.
So when you talk about the gap between intentions, you're talking about what people say and plan to do versus what they actually do when it comes to eating fruits and vegetables, right?
Absolutely. And so this is something that really, since the inception of the Have a Plant movement, we've been really talking about the behavior-based approach to that. And so we use a behavioral framework that you've heard us talk about before, KNOW, or know, feel, and do. And so when you look at the behavioral science literature or behavior change literature, we know that we have the greatest impact when we make the doing easy. But also before that comes the feeling and some emotions that certainly we've been talking about over the last year, how we can tie into more of the emotional connection that consumers have in their food, which is immediate to us versus only these long-term, let's say, health-related payoffs. Interestingly enough, these health payoffs have kind of a unique meaning now in the times that we're living. So fruit and vegetable consumption is a multifactorial challenge, just like many of the other challenges that the fruit and vegetable industry face. One organization, one approach isn't going to solve it, or else we would have had that done a while ago. But really, it will take a multi-sector solutions-based endeavor to really get after how to make fruit and vegetable consumption easy and delicious.
Yeah, that sounds good. I know PBH is well known for consumer research. What are some things that are going to come out this year that you think will improve consumption and maybe show some people some things they didn't know?
I think if we think about this Lead the Change movement, it's really a three-part plan. And so the first is consumption research and consumption behavioral expertise. The second one is a multi-sector consumption coalition, okay? And the third is a national fruit and vegetable consumption summit. So to answer your question on the first part of that plan, the research is, there's a lot of great research out there. We're seeing it on, let's say, an annual basis. Certainly PBH has been a part of that. We're seeing what I would call kind of taking the temperature type of research right now, looking at shopper habits in this moment of change. What we're hoping to do is really twofold in our research area. One is we're looking at what I would say the most comprehensive and now most up-to-date consumption research. It's a reinvigorating the State of the Plate report, which for those folks that don't know, it's really a signature PBH report that's done in partnership with NPD. It looks at what we would call the national eating trends, what people are eating and how they're eating it. And so we're going to add a custom segmentation on top of that this year to get a little bit deeper as to why people are consuming what they're consuming. And what's interesting about this is, it's pre-pandemic research. Okay. So, but this gives us, it gives us an opportunity to say, what were people eating pre-pandemic? Why were they making those decisions? And what are the behaviors of those who consume the most fruits and vegetables? We can compare that to almost 15 years of previous research to see, despite all of our previous efforts, were we making headway in any area? That's instructive for us as an industry to know what types of tactics may have been successful in changing consumers' behavior, even if it's in, for example, one commodity. Then we have what I would call what other people are doing right now, which is this temperature taking, every 2 weeks, every week type of what are shoppers doing, what are diners maybe going to do. And so we'll be watching that, right? And there's a lot of great work happening there. Then the other part of the research is really what we're doing, a custom survey that's focusing on this know, feel, do behavioral framework, and looking at now what behaviors would encourage people to eat more. And so this would be essentially post-pandemic research where we can take into account maybe the effects of this pandemic on consumption habits. And I think anybody who believes they have a crystal ball on how habits will change has just that one crystal ball, and we can shake it up and see what happens next. It's more like the magic 8-ball.
I think some behaviors will certainly change permanently, but who knows what they'll be. Hopefully, people taking fewer trips to the store and stocking up more. Hopefully that's something that leads to better consumption and planning for fresh produce, for sure. You mentioned the National Consumption Summit. Now you're talking about a brand new event within the industry and even broader than the industry. Just briefly, what do you have in mind for that, and what timing do you have in mind?
Sure. So what we envision, particularly also I want to mention the coalition, is various, so today most people would say, whether we're talking about food waste or fruit and vegetable consumption, is we would say it's a systems-based conversation. It's not just about the fruit and vegetable industry. It's not just about public health. It's not just about the ag sector, for example. It's about all of these sectors and how they intersect to create solutions, okay? So we would look at that consumption coalition as being representative of multiple sectors. Certainly of the fruit and vegetable industry, and all of the pieces associated with that are one sector. But we could also look at the broader ag sector, transportation. We could look at packaging, for example. We could look at retail and food service, obviously, and then all education, public health. So we would look at that National Fruit and Vegetable Summit as an opportunity for sector leaders to come together and do a couple of things. Really, there's so much great work going on. So we need to identify what's happening today. And then 2 is we need to understand within that, what are the best practices? Who's having the greatest success? And then 3 is we need to look at sector-based solutions. And then there could be also an opportunity to co-create. So when we look at something like a summit like that, which by the way, that model has been used in others, like for example, the CPG industry and others, to really try to inspire innovation and cross-sector collaboration in a way that hasn't been done before. And so some people might say, well, that doesn't sound like it's for me. Well, somebody that, like I've worked in the ag seed tech sector or ag innovation sector. So you'll often hear people talk about taste when it comes to fruits and vegetables. There is a lot of opportunity to increase taste and flavor as a result of seed breeding techniques. This is an investment this requires investment from certain sectors to bring it to fruition and definitely scale it up and make it also affordable for others within the value chain. So that would be an example where all the way back to seed ag tech innovation, we can point to that sector and say they're doing amazing things and they should be rewarded for the investment that they're making, for example, in improving the taste and flavor of certain varieties.
Okay. And timing?
Oh, timing, yeah. So we're really excited about it, and I know I've talked to other leaders in the industry that are excited about it too. We're looking at 2022 for that, because it does take, you know, we could do this as an industry, an event like this today. Well, we can't actually today, but we could try. We could do it virtually today. But that would not be the vision that our board of trustees wants, which is it's not just about us. It's about multiple sectors coming together. And so as a core tenet of coalition building, it takes time and to not just bring others to the cause, but also to take into consideration their feedback, their desires for something like this, and then really essentially co-create it together. So the goal would be to have lots of partners for this event in 2022, which then would really set the stage for what I would call setting measurements of success, and really showcasing the best, establishing measurements of success, and then a path forward for those sectors to really begin to collaborate.
All right, that sounds like a good plan. I know later this week you guys have a webinar scheduled, and we'll hear more about the details of this from some of your volunteer leaders.
Yeah, we welcome everybody to come to that. And really, you know, our leaders are so excited about this. You know, this is something that we had planned for later in the year, and they said, right now we need some good news and we need to have something to look forward to. And so while we have one foot today on kind of the challenges before us, we also have to have the other foot looking towards the future and looking and making sure that we are set up for success at every turn. And so this movement at this point, convened by the Produce for Better Health Foundation, allows, I believe, everybody to be positioned for great success going forward when it comes to consumption.
All right, sounds good. I look forward to hearing it play out, and hopefully our audience does too.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, thanks for joining us from the other side of Missouri.
Yeah, sounds good.
Next time.